Target's coming up. Just hold them off for a few seconds.
Stay on target.
Almost there.
Hello and welcome back to Alex SpaceX Talks. Today with a Starship Updates episode. It has been over 4 weeks now since the first successful full-engine static fire test on Booster 7 had been accomplished. Maintenance work on the launch pad at Starbase, Texas, as well as on the current Starship and Super Heavy prototypes, had been constantly ongoing. The launch tower Mechazilla itself has received additional shielding, and even progress of installing a water deluge system for future starts can also be seen. A lot to talk about, so stay tuned. A senior SpaceX director expects the United States Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) to grant a license for the first orbital launch of its next generation Starship rocket in the very near future. Speaking at a conference, Gary Henry also indicated that Starship remains on track to launch as early as March 2023. The FAA is responsible for regulating commercial space transportation activities in the United States and must grant licenses for launch and re-entry. SpaceX will need to obtain an FAA launch license for the first orbital test flight of Starship. The timeline for regulatory approval can vary depending on a variety of factors, including the complexity of the mission and the completeness of the application. SpaceX has previously experienced delays in obtaining regulatory approvals for some of its launch activities, so it is difficult to predict exactly when the FAA will give the final go for the first orbital test flight of Starship. But if there are no major hurdles standing in the way of that FAA license, Starship could be ready to launch in a matter of weeks. In the meantime, SpaceX has begun installing a final layer of shielding on Starbase's orbital launch mount. That task will likely need to be completed before the launch attempt and could take a couple of weeks. Additionally, SpaceX is already installing a water deluge system that will eventually make its launch site much more capable of withstanding the stress of Starship tests and launches. Water deluge systems are commonly used in launch facilities to protect launch vehicles and other critical equipment from fire and other hazards during launch operations. SpaceX has used such systems at its other launch facilities, including Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Installing that system and building a sufficiently massive water supply will take months, however, and would likely preclude a March launch attempt, indicating that SpaceX's first orbital Starship launch attempt will happen without it. It's worth noting that the process of developing and testing a new spacecraft can take time, and safety is a top priority. So, while there is no exact timeline for when the Starship will first reach orbit, SpaceX is actively working towards achieving this goal as soon as possible. The strongest sign that Starship's first orbital launch attempt is imminent will be Ship 24's return to the pad and reinstallation atop Booster 7. But for now, as soon as SpaceX has received the FAA license, you will be the first to hear it from my channel. In the meantime, I wish you all a wonderful week and see you soon in my next video. Ciao!
What?